Yo, what it do? What it do? What it do? It's your boy Polo. I am back with it. It's your boy Polo. I am back with another video. You can tell by the name of the video who I am reacting to, y'all. We all want to know, but you see the title, right? Do I gotta explain it? Do I gotta explain it, bro? You know what I'm saying? Bro, let's get to it. If you did not smack the like button, go ahead and smack the like button. Subscribe to the channel, you know what I'm saying? If you did not subscribe yet, go ahead and subscribe, bro. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it, bro. Yeah, let's do it.
From Ted Bundy to John Wayne Gacy, these individuals committed heinous crimes that shocked the world.
What they did.
But what happened to their remains once justice was served? In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the unsettling world of post-execution protocol and discover what really happened to the bodies of some of the most infamous serial killers in history.
Right.
So buckle up and prepare for a chilling journey.
Come on, bucket up.
The afterlife
You
of
too,
some of
Crystal.
the world's most notorious criminals. Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ooh, number
Also
one.
known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Jeffrey Dahmer was one of America's most terrifying serial killers. He committed a string of horrific crimes in the 1980s, including murder, rape, necrophilia, and cannibalism. Throughout his crime span, Dahmer lured 20 young men from nightclubs and public places and brought them into his house on the promises of sex or money. However, all of these unfortunate men ended up being killed by Dahmer after being heavily sedated. He went on to have sex with their bodies before butchering them into pieces and disposing them off.
Weird.
Dahmer's horrific run of crimes came to an end after he was finally caught in 1991. The details of his crimes shocked the entire country, and his trial received media attention. In 1992, he was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences. However, court justice was not enough for Dahmer's victims, and he was brutally beaten to death by a fellow inmate in prison 2 years later. Right after he was killed, his body was taken to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office. An autopsy was performed, and the cause of death was determined to be massive head trauma. As per Dahmer's will, he did not receive a funeral service, and his body was cremated in 1995. Reports suggested Dahmer's ashes were initially given to his parents, but it's unclear what they did with them. Some sources indicate that the ashes may have been scattered in an undisclosed location, while others claim that they were divided among his family members. His brain, however, was preserved in formaldehyde for the scientists to study. John Wayne Gacy. On the outside, John Wayne Gacy was a successful businessman and community leader, but behind closed doors, he was a monster who committed a series of horrific murders that shocked the world. Between 1972 and 1978, the killer clown lured at least 33 young men and boys to his home, where he would rape, torture, and murder them. Gacy often dressed up as a clown to entertain children at local parties and events, making his crimes all the more disturbing. It wasn't until 1978, when Gacy was finally arrested for the murder of 15-year-old Robert Peast, that police discovered the full extent of his crimes. During a search of Gacy's home, they found the remains of several victims buried in the crawl space beneath his house.
Nigga!
Gacy was ultimately convicted of 33 counts of murder and sentenced to death. He was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994. After his death was confirmed, Gacy's brain was removed and now in possession of Helen Morrison, the psychiatrist.
Why the fuck they removed their brain for? Let me know why they took their brain. What the hell?
Psychiatrist who interviewed Gacy. His body was eventually cremated and ashes were handed over to his family. Ted Bundy. Widely considered one of America's most notorious serial killers, Ted Bundy was a charismatic and handsome man with an extremely disturbing persona on the inside. During the 1970s, he lured several women into his car under false pretenses before torturing, raping, and murdering them.
The fuck?
Because of his sadistic behavior towards the women in particular, he earned the monikers such as the Lady Killer and the Campus Killer. Despite being arrested several times, Bundy was able to escape from custody twice, further adding to his mystique and notoriety. However, his luck eventually ran out, and he was captured for the final time in 1978. He denied all his crimes for over a decade before finally confessing to them during his trial. Bundy was eventually convicted of 30 murders and was given the death penalty by the jury.
Damn.
After Ted Bundy's execution by an electric chair on January 24th, 1989, his body was transported to a nearby funeral home in Florida. There were over 200 people present outside the Florida State Prison who cheered loudly after he was declared dead. Bundy's body was later cremated, and his ashes were scattered in an undisclosed location in the Cascade Mountains in Washington state.
Oh, damn.
Fred West. Because of the unspeakable acts of violence he inflicted on his victims, Fred West has been described as perhaps the worst serial killer in the history of Britain.
The worst?
Between 1967 and 1987, West and his wife, Rosemary, carried out a series of brutal murders, targeting young women and children. They used to kidnap their victims before taking them into their house and later torturing them to death. Fred's first daughter, Heather West, also became a victim of his cruelty and was among the 30 women who were tortured and killed by the West. Their crimes were particularly heinous, with many of their victims being dismembered and buried beneath their home. Their reign of terror finally came to an end in 1994 when police uncovered evidence of their crimes during a search of the property after Fred was arrested. He was in prison prior to his trial, and while awaiting the trial, Fred hanged himself in his cell after writing a suicide note to his wife. His body was taken to the mortuary at Birmingham's Winson Green Prison. Fred was given a funeral service where 4 of his children were present. After that, his body was cremated and ashes were scattered at a seaside resort in Berry Island, a place where he used to visit often during his childhood. Dr. Harold Shipman.
At least he had a funeral, though.
Who would have known that a seemingly wholesome doctor would be a terrifying murderer on the inside? Dr. Harold Shipman was a British general practitioner who was born in Nottingham, England in 1946 and is considered one of the world's most prolific serial killers. Between 1975 and 1998, Shipman killed an estimated 215 patients by injecting them with lethal doses of painkiller diamorphine, also known as heroin. Shipman's victims were primarily elderly women, and his methods of killing were methodical and calculated. Shipman's crimes were finally uncovered in 1998 when a local undertaker raised concerns about...
Yo, so you tell me... Nah.
the high number of deaths among Shipman's patients. Over 10 bodies of his victims were exhumed and diamorphine was found in all of them. Shipman was arrested after the investigation and was charged with 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forgery. In 2000, he was found guilty of 15 counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
What? So you tell me he forced it? Bro, don't trust these doctors, bro.
4 years later, in 2004, Shipman committed suicide in his cell by hanging himself. Following the post-mortem examination, Shipman's body was released to his family for a private funeral. However, it's reported that due to public outrage, no funeral director in the Manchester area was willing to provide their services for Shipman's burial. His body was eventually cremated at a funeral home in secrecy after over a year in 2005. Only his wife and 4 children were present at the cremation ceremony. Richard Ramirez. Popularly known as the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez was a notorious American serial killer who terrorized the Los Angeles area during the mid-1980s. Between 1984 and 1985, Ramirez committed a string of horrific crimes that included murder, rape, burglary, and assault.
Nigga!
His victims ranged in age from 9 to 83, and he attacked both men and women. Ramirez often entered his victims' homes in the middle of the night, where he would beat them up or shoot them before robbing them of their valuables. His crimes were characterized by extreme violence and sadism. He often left satanic symbols at the crime scenes and was known to engage in bizarre and macabre rituals, such as drinking his victims' blood or eating their flesh. Ramirez...
The fuck? Bro!
His reign of terror finally came to an end in August 1985 when he was captured by police after a group of civilians recognized him and chased him down. He was subsequently charged with 13 counts of murder and was found guilty on all charges. Ramirez was sentenced to death in 1989, but spent 23 years on death row in San Quentin State Prison before dying of complications from B-cell lymphoma in 2013. Following the...
Yo, nigga crazy! My mouse not working? Yo. Boy, what the hell?
Autopsy, Richard's body was ready to be released for a funeral. However, it remained unclaimed for weeks before being cremated by the prison authorities. His ashes were reportedly given to Ramirez's widow, who scattered them at an undisclosed location. Dennis Nilsen. Dennis Nilsen was a British police officer who later turned into a psychopath and a serial killer. Between 1978 and 1983, Nilsen murdered at least 12 young men and boys after luring them into his house for sexual relationships. Many of his victims were homeless or estranged from their families and used to comply with Nilsen in hopes of getting some food or money. Nilsen would offer them food, alcohol, and a place to stay before strangling or drowning them. He would then dispose of their bodies by dismembering them, burning them, or flushing them down the toilet. Nilsen's crimes went undetected for several years, as he was able to go about his daily life without arousing suspicion. However, in 1983, a plumber who was called to Nilsen's apartment to clear a blocked drain discovered human remains and alerted the police. He was subsequently arrested and charged with several counts of murder and attempted murder.
Nigga, what the flop?
In 2018, Nilsen was found lying on the floor of his cell and seemed to be in excruciating stomach pain. Although he was immediately transferred to the hospital, it was too late by then, as he died due to abdominal bleeding and artery blockage in his lung. He was given a secret funeral service at an undisclosed location where his body was cremated, and the ashes were handed over to his family. Nonetheless, the fate of these serial killers is an intriguing topic for people around the world. The manner in which these individuals were laid to rest is often shrouded in secrecy and controversy. Some argue that the remains should be destroyed or forgotten. Others believe that they serve as a reminder of the brutality committed by these murderers.
That shit crazy, bro. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. If you like this video, make sure you guys smack the like button, subscribe to the channel, you know what I'm saying? Don't forget to smack the like button, bro. I'll see you guys next video. It's your boy Polo Baby. I am out.
If you found this video...
Bro. That's what I gotta do, bitch.